Good morning, everybody. In the early years of independence in our country, things were pretty chaotic. And it was on this date in 1787, January 25, that Daniel Shays, a Massachusetts farmer, and some others attacked the armory in Springfield, Massachusetts. And this revealed the weakness of the central government and was one of the events that led to the writing of a new constitution. In a barter economy, there's no money. People exchange products for services or something like that. In a market economy, you have money, and one of the big issues at the end of the revolution was what kind of money would the new government use? Now, there was gold and silver floating around. Here are pictures of pieces of 8 from the Spanish Empire. There was British money, Dutch money, but there was paper money too, and the problem with paper money is people didn't really trust it. Here's a paper dollar from that time period. And merchants liked to be paid in gold and silver, but people who had lots of debt, like farmers, liked to pay using cash. So here's a map of the population of Massachusetts today, but 200 years ago it was much the same in that western and central Mass were very, very rural and liked either a barter economy or a paper money economy. So Daniel Shays was a Revolutionary War veteran. When he left the Army, he was still owed money. When he got home, he realized he was in legal trouble because of some debts he needed to pay, and the banks and merchants wanted gold and silver. He didn't have it. And when tax collectors came, they were often put upon by people in western and central Massachusetts, like you see in this picture. Now, the people did try to go through channels with the government. Here's the old State House in Boston. To get relief, but it didn't happen. The merchant classes and the people in Eastern Mass really wanted gold and silver. They didn't like paper. So here is where some of the events of Shays Rebellion happened. What the people did is they would stop the courts from meeting at these places that you see, so they couldn't enact penalties against people who were in debt, who didn't have gold and silver to pay the debts. Now here's a Springfield rifle. You can see the word Springfield there. A big armory had been set up in Springfield, Mass. during the Revolution, and later another one was set up in Harpers Ferry, Virginia, now West Virginia. And our event was on this date, January 25. 3 groups of what they called Shaysites came on the armory to get some weapons, and there was deaths of 4 people to artillery, not musketry as you see here, and people fled, and many of the Shaysites fled into New York State and into Vermont, which wasn't even a state then. It was sort of an independent country. Well, meanwhile, over in France, Thomas Jefferson is observing the French Revolution, and he has this famous quote about the tree of liberty being refreshed with the blood of patriots, and what prompted him to say that was Shays Rebellion. That's the origin of that famous phrase by Jefferson. But George, he was much less upbeat about this. He saw this all as disorder and a proof that the government really needed to get its act together. So one of the reasons we get rid of the Articles of Confederation and move to a new constitution was Shays Rebellion. That's not the only reason, but there was a sense that the central government needed to be more strong. Now, in Mass today, there is a U.S. Route 202, which is known as the Daniel Shays Highway. So there's a road named after him, and near it you come across this marker, the last battle of Shays Rebellion, February 27, 1787. A lot of the Shaysites, as they called them, had just split. Shays himself moved to New York. He died there south of Rochester, a little bit west of the Finger Lakes. And there's a new gravestone. His old one you couldn't read, and that's where he's buried. And if you're ever in Springfield, Mass., check out the Armory. It's a great museum of the history of guns. and weaponry, but also the site of our event, January 25, 1787.